Well, hello there. I got a severe YouTube slap yesterday for criticising the now uncriticisable. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below, and when subscribing please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. Well, yesterday did prove to be, interesting, because I received that dreaded "We've pulled your video" finger-wagging message from YouTube Central, or rather Google Central. Yes, my channel got an unwelcome visit from the YouTube baseball bat brigade. And interestingly, this video was a few days old and had already been approved by the YouTube machine. Now, apart from this being highly disappointing, it came right out of the blue. No previous warnings, nothing to say that I was anywhere near the boundaries of the YouTube freedom of expression restrictions. But alas, I obviously upset someone. So as I keep a copy of all my vids, I went back over it, but could find nothing there that other people on social media, including on YouTube, hadn't already far surpassed in terms of questioning the politics surrounding the victor, and especially the bit of paper that makes sure we all do our bit, if you get my drift. And what may have tipped me over into the YouTube pit of doom was not that I mentioned this bit of paper or app, but what I said about what it might become. There shall be no criticism of that, it seems. The plans are in motion. And another angle may be that I referred to a recent visit of a very well-known US politician to these shores, who was pushing Boris into doing more in this direction. Anyway, as a result of this, in order to retain my place here on YouTube, I have been forced to do some preemptive self-censorship. I've gone back through the archive and deleted a few of my other vids that could be construed as dangerous by the constantly updating and continually more anti-freedom of speech algorithm. But as I've already said, other far more prominent people, politicians and influences go much further than I do when criticising such matters, and are far more blatant about it. But they seem to be left to their own devices. So why me, and why now? Now, it doesn't matter if you love me or hate me, I have a right to speak, and so do you. Platforms that do not allow free speech are ultimately discrediting themselves in the long run. But I will stay for as long as I can. I've already learned how to adapt to the ever faster relocations of the free speech goalposts. I just now need to be a bit more fleet of foot. Because the likes of Novara Media might have been rightly reprieved, but others like myself might not be so lucky in the future. Now, the head of video of Novara Media, Gary McQuiggin, seems to have pulled a tweet he made back in June 2020. Back then he said, "It's not censorship when a private company decides to remove you from its platform. You don't have an inalienable right to a Twitter account." But when Google's YouTube pulled their channel, he tweeted, "Whether or not you agree with what we publish, it shouldn't be the whim of giant tech companies to delete us overnight with no explanation." Maybe the crocodile he thought they were riding turned round and bit them. But I do own to be keeping an eye out for a likely alternative platform. And I also made a good decision by joining the Free Speech Union when it started. If you're a social media content producer, you might want to check them out. So another small brick has been placed atop the ever-growing wall between ordinary people and their right to freedom of expression, which incidentally includes not just the production of content, but also your consumption of it. i.e., you have the right to search out and watch what you like unless it is against the law to do so. Supposedly. Free speech is in regressive mode at present. But social media is just one aspect of all of this. But before I continue, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Now, when I got this warning yesterday, I thought about how many subjects are now verboten on social media. And with some of the legislation coming through in Scotland and now in the UK, it seems, it could start becoming illegal to discuss things in your own home with people you consider your friends and family. It's almost as if we are being herded like cattle into a mental corral, where our friends and relatives report us to the local free speech commissars to be sent for re-education or worse. Just look at the courses springing up everywhere that employees now have to attend. And it got me thinking about how a government would control the moving of the people into just such a scenario. Well, they would need to expand the state, giving ever more minor local powers to publicly funded busybody jobsworths that continually fail to deliver. Employ an army of psychologists, install them in a government nudge unit, and task them to come out with communication ideas that gently move public perceptions on selected issues. Keep making and unmaking laws that unsettle people and leave them confused and ever more insecure, not knowing if what they did yesterday is still okay to do today. Take control away from parents. Make grand promises of jam tomorrow, big 5-year style plans that never seem to materialise. Promise to work hard for the people, while the outcomes always seem to come out against them. Then gradually take command of the economy by making sure only the huge corporates can survive and the rest are on a barely acceptable minimum wage and taxed to the hilt in the process. Make ownership hard, but renting easy while expensive. And also, more sinisterly, to generate constant internal division amongst the citizenry across all manner of political, cultural, religious and even medical grounds. All this, of course, could never happen in a democracy, especially one that is as well embedded as ours here in the UK is. Could it? Then I looked at what the supposedly Conservative Chancellor Rishi Sunak was doing in his latest budget. Taxes up, national debt up, inflation up, council tax going up, with interest rates going up to follow, while more money is allocated to government departments and local government, and wage rises that will be eroded by those taxes and that inflation. You get the idea. And the whole thing has left many economics and financial pundits scratching their heads and calling this far more of a Gordon Brown budget than a Margaret Thatcher budget. And Brown always struck me as an economic control freak. And I always look at Boris and his cabinet and what they're doing now, or more exactly what issues they are now ignoring. Now, many people will point to the aftermath of the Second World War, for example, that forced the UK government to take full charge as some sort of parallel to the pandemic today. But back then, houses, factories, schools, hospitals, infrastructure and shops had all been comprehensively levelled. We had to build fast to survive. But we don't have that problem today. No, today the government seems intent on building fast solely to build back better. But what are we actually building? And is it really better? And why the constant psychological nudging? What we need immediately is energy security, more power stations, and to use our own resources. I have to say, I do have grave misgivings about where all of this is going. Anyway, thank you all so much for your ongoing support, and as usual, please like and comment below.